for you. At number 10, we have Agora, a historical drama which follows the life of Hypatia, an Alexandrian mathematician, philosopher, and astronomer, from her childhood to her eventual death. This film's key focus is on the relationship between religion and science, as the polytheistic religions of Alexandria continually clash with the beliefs of the growing Christian religion. This film does a fantastic job of highlighting how difficult it was to advance science and astronomy during the time due to religious constraints and the growing influence of external forces in Alexandria. Rachel Weisz really shines in her role of Hypatia and does a fantastic job of bringing the character to life, with all of the supporting cast doing a fantastic job of further filling out the world as well. The plot is also fantastic with lots of unexpected twists and turns, making this film a great watch from beginning to end. But there are a few stumbling points, as the pacing does struggle at times and the political situation in Alexandria could have been expanded upon a bit more. But if you're looking for a great film that shows a mix of Roman, Christian, and scientific influences on ancient Alexandria, then Agora is my recommendation for you. At number 9, we have the Netflix original film The King, which focuses on the life of King Henry V, who was the King of England during the early 1400s, and he was widely renowned throughout history for his small contingency of English archers and knights and their victory over a much larger and better equipped French army at Agincourt. This film follows the life of Henry Monmouth from shortly before he becomes king to a few weeks after his victory in France on the fields of Agincourt, and it does a great job of bringing the king's unique story to life. Like most productions by Netflix, this is a high budget, high quality film with fantastic acting by the entire cast, most notable being the quirky performance by Robert Pattinson, which you'll either love or hate. My primary gripe with this film is the level of historical inaccuracies throughout the entire movie, which is used to make Henry look like a reluctant, peace-loving king who hated the idea of war, when the reality is so much different. And Henry was a king who loved war from his first day on the throne, and he couldn't wait to finally get some glory and conquer lands in France. But if you can ignore some of the historical shortcomings of the film, then you will find a movie that has great acting, an interesting storyline, and some fantastic large-scale battles, which really brings the bloody reality of medieval warfare to life. At number 8, we have Kingdom of Heaven, which follows a semi-fictionalized portrayal of the life of Balian of Ibelin, who was a crusader noble and the primary leader for the defense of the Christian-held Jerusalem during the siege of Jerusalem in 1187 against Saladin and his Muslim forces. This film has some A-list actors in it, such as Orlando Bloom, Liam Neeson, and Eva Green. So the acting is top tier and the battle scenes are also amazing. The plot is very intriguing and historically accurate, even if it does stumble at some points with an awkward and slow start to the film. The story about the defense of Jerusalem by a small Christian force against a massive Muslim army led by military genius Saladin is a fantastic story to tell and have brought to the big screen, and a film which, despite its famous cast, is still relatively unknown to wider audiences, and is a film that I cannot recommend enough to all lovers of historical films and movies in general. At number 7, it is The Fall of the Roman Empire, the classic 1964 sword and sandal film, which looked at the corruption and politics present within the Roman Empire during the reign of Commodus, and how these events started the decline of the Roman Empire and the downfall of all its glory. Although this film was a huge box office bomb, it still garnered positive feedback from critics, as the plot and story for the movie was great, but it just got released at a time when the market was oversaturated with sword and sandal films. This film highlights what makes the classic era of historical films so endearing even to this day, as the movie relies solely on amazing acting by the entire cast and a strong plot to carry the movie forward, as there is no CGI or over-the-top action in this film to distract viewers from weaker elements of the movie. There is a few shortcomings in the film in terms of pacing and character motivations, but nearly 40 years later there is a reason that The Fall of the Roman Empire is still remembered as one of the best historical films ever created, and you owe it to yourself to find out why that is. At number 6, we have Arn the Knight Templar, which is a fictional story based around a Knights Templar, if you couldn't decipher the clues in the movie's title. This is actually a two-part film series which is based off the best-selling Crusades book series by Han Julio, which sees a fictional character named Arn who becomes a Knights Templar and is a witness or catalyst to many real historical events, such as the Battle of Montgazard and the Battle of Hattin. One thing I really loved about this film was the range of different languages spoken by knights on Crusade, which would have been accurate at the time, as knights came from several diverse countries countries and backgrounds for him to speak a range of languages, as is evident throughout the film. Arn the Knights Templar is also the most expensive film ever created in the history of Swedish cinema, and is a fantastic feat of storytelling, cinematography, and bringing a semi-accurate historical depiction of the Knights Templars to our screens. So this film is definitely a strong recommendation for me. At number 5 we have 300, an epic retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae, the last stand of King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans against a massive Persian army. I absolutely love this film as it was one of the first historical movies I had seen which really engaged me and made me curious about Spartan culture and trying to understand what in the film was actually fact and what was fiction. This film does a great job of bringing Spartan culture and their dedication to the art of war to life, while also providing viewers with a strong overview of the various political and religious influences present in Spartan society. The battle scenes, cinematography, and the fantastic way hand-to-hand combat is displayed is unparalleled even to this day, with the prowess of the Spartan army really being brought to the forefront, but in a very over-the-top and action-heavy manner. The cast here is also amazing, with Gerard Butler and Lena Headey shining in their roles as King Leonidas and Queen Gorgo. The plot is also engaging and easy enough to follow without any unnecessary side plots or scenes being thrown in. However, there are also a few shortcomings to this film, as the movie focuses more on entertainment and action than historical accuracy, and it severely diminishes the contributions other Greek armies such as the Athenians played in the Battle of Thermopylae. So if you're searching for a historically inaccurate but thoroughly entertaining film, then 300 is my recommendation for you. At number 4 we have the historical film Gladiator, which revitalized critic and audience's interest in epic sword and sandal films and in historical movies in general. This film stars Russell Crowe as the primary character of the film, in which he has fallen from one of Rome's most highly respected generals to a lowly gladiator slave, all due to the political mechanisms of Emperor Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix. This film has amazing acting from all primary and secondary actors, a fantastic and engaging storyline, and some amazing gladiatorial battles and fight scenes as well. But there are also a few issues with the film which cannot be overlooked, such as the movie is historically inaccurate to a huge extent even by Hollywood standards, and at times it overplays the action and fight sequences at the sacrifice of realism. However, if you're looking for a film which will keep you engaged from beginning to end with a riveting plot and an amazing cast, Gladiator is my recommendation for you. At number 3 we have Troy, an epic based film based on the Iliad by Homer, which depicts various events from the 10-year-long siege which sees a massive Greek army besieging the city of Troy to return a runaway bride to her kingly husband. Trojan War supposedly took place during 13th century BC and is written by Homer to have taken over 80 years to complete, which saw many large-scale battles, genius military tactics, and a plethora of famous historical and mythological figures such as Achilles, Hector, and Agamemnon involved in the Trojan War. This film follows the general outline of the Iliad well enough, and the cast are stellar, flawlessly bringing their characters to life. But I do feel that Orlando Bloom and Diana Kruger both had slightly lackluster performances and didn't really share any chemistry on screen. But this is a high-budget, high-quality Hollywood film with several A-list actors, so it is safe to say storyline and plot development is great, the set pieces are excellent, and the battle scenes are magnificent as well. This is one of the best depictions we have ever seen of the Trojan War on the big screen, and this is a must-see film for any fan of epic war films and someone that is looking for a historical film with a good mix of mythos in it as well. At number 2 we have the award-winning 1960s classic film Spartacus, which depicts the life of Spartacus from a lowly gladiator to the leader of a massive slave uprising and rebellion known as the Third Servile War. This film has some of the best acting, battle scenes, and storytelling that I have ever witnessed in a film, and its masterful storytelling and character development is done in such an efficient manner that historical films to this day can still not produce the same level of elegance and realism for its viewers that this classic film does. All of the cast in this film are excellent, with many of them, such as Kirk Douglas and Peter Ustinov, winning several awards for their performances. It also withstands the test of time, as this film is still used as a blueprint on how to depict large battle scenes and political maneuvering of a complex political structure such as the Roman Republic on the big screen effectively. There are some minor issues in pacing and the character motivations of some of the antagonists, but these issues are minute and do not really deter the viewer from being engrossed in the movie. So if you're looking for a classic film which displays the life of Spartacus in a simple but effective manner, then 1960s Spartacus is my recommendation for you. Top spot on this list goes to the Netflix original film The Outlaw King, which focuses on the struggles and sacrifices that Robert the Bruce has to endure to win back the Scottish throne from the English monarchy. The primary focus of the film is on the outlaw period of Robert the Bruce's life, from 1304 to 1307, when he was rebelling against the English forces in Scotland, who far outnumbered his own small tribe of supporters. This resulted in Robert the Bruce having to fight primarily a guerrilla-style war during this 3-year period. This film is regularly compared against Braveheart, a popular film about Scottish independence which got released in the early 90s, and starred Mel Gibson as Scottish rebel William Wallace, a precursor which eventually led to Robert the Bruce's rebellion. But I feel this to be a very unfair comparison, as Braveheart is not even in the same league as Outlaw King in any historical or cinema based context. One of the reasons I really enjoyed The Outlaw King was because, although I was aware of Robert the Bruce's trajectory to eventually becoming King of Scotland, it wasn't until after watching this film that I truly understand how much sacrifice and loss the Bruce had to endure before he's able to get even one large victory over the English. The unique storytelling method and realism this film has is one of the primary reasons that this film is my top vote for the best historical film of all time, as I've yet to see another historical film which has emotionally moved, engrossed and intrigued me as much as this film has. The Outlaw King is my top recommendation for you. So lastly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video on my list of the top 10 historical movies of all time. If you found this video to be interesting, then please do like and subscribe to this channel, and feel free to share this video as well. Thank you so much for watching.